ang paglaganap ng COVID-19 at mapabagal ang pagkakaroon ng mga bagong variants ng SARS-CoV-2. Inuulit po namin ng DOH na ang ating pong minimum public health standards ay siya pa rin ang pinakamabisang laban sa anumang variant na matutuklasan ng SARS-CoV-2. So sa puntong ito, ako po ay muli nagpapasalamat sa pagkakataon ibinibigay ninyo sa Department of Health para makapagbigay ng updates patungkol po sa UK variant. So sa ngalan ng DOH, maraming salamat po muli sa lahat.
Maraming salamat, Secretary Duque. Bago po tayo magpatuloy sa ating special presser ngayon, nais ko lamang pong i-acknowledge ang ating IATF Task Force on COVID-19. No? So it is chaired by, of course, USEC Maria Rosario Singh Vergeire of the Department of Health. Here in the call with us is the co-chair po, no? Executive Director Jaime Montoya of PCHRD. The members of the task force include the following po: si Dr. Ana Ong Lim, si Dr. Marisa Alejandria, Dr. Edsel Maurice Salvania, Dr. Eva Maria Cochonco de la Paz ng UPNIH, Dr. Cynthia Saloma ng Philippine Genome Center. Wala naman po ngayon sa atin, no, kasama ngayon dahil may prior commitment sila, si Dr. Celia Carlos ng RITM and Dr. John Wong ng Epimetrics. Ngayon po, sa susunod na parte ng ating special presser, nais ko pong tawagin si USEC Rosette Vergeire upang magbigay ng detalye or ang case narrative po natin. USEC.
Thank you, Laura. Can we share my slides, please? So bago ako mag-umpisa, gusto ho natin i-recognize the presence of our Quezon City Epidemiology and Surveillance Unit Head, si Dr. Rolly Cruz po. Pagkatapos ko po magbigay ng maikling overview ng kaso na ito, ay bibigyan po natin ng panahon si Dr. Rolly para makapagbigay ng update sa response na ginagawa ng Quezon City Local Government. So can we have the slides, please? Next slide, please. So the reported UK variant case in the Philippines is a 29-year-old male residing in Quezon City with his girlfriend, mother, and 2 siblings. The case and his girlfriend are real estate agents who have not reported physically at their office, and they only go out only for essentials. The case have not reported any comorbidities, and they have reported that they had no travel outside of Quezon City this December or no known exposure to a confirmed case or a setting with known cases. Next slide, please. So this slide would show you the timeline of this health event. On December 25, the couple was swabbed in preparation for their trip to Dubai. On December 27, both yielded negative results from their RT-PCR test. While in Dubai, they visited malls, groceries, and tourist sites, claiming to be adhering to minimum public health standards. So let me just clarify. On December 25, the couple had their RT-PCR test done here in the country, and it yielded negative results. So they went to Dubai, and upon entry in Dubai, they were swabbed again, and the results were also negative. So on January 7, the couple arrived in the Philippines, both showing no symptoms. As UAE is not part of the travel restrictions for the UK variant, both underwent the usual protocol for international travelers. They were swabbed upon arrival, and they stayed in a hotel while waiting for their results. On January 8, the test results were out. The male tested positive, while the female was negative. He was immediately transferred to an isolation facility, while she remained under quarantine. Albeit the fact that UAE was not a country of interest as it relates to the UK variant, after 5 days on January 13, the Philippine Genome Center has completed the genomic sequencing following their gradual expansion of their surveillance efforts. The sample was shown to be positive for the UK variant. At this point, we'd like to commend the efforts, of course, of our Philippine Genome Center and, of course, the one-stop shop of the government, of our government agency, because they were able to detect this variant in spite na hindi po kasama sa protocol ang Dubai or ang UAE dito po sa dapat na ibibigay para sa Philippine Genome Center to process. So all incoming passengers were included as part of the swabbing and as part of the sequencing so that we can be able to detect this variant. Next slide, please. Contact tracing has already been initiated. Contacts prior to departure in Manila were identified, which are all the 5 household members. They were isolated already and their specimens are collected. Contact tracing of Emirates EK332 has already been started. Of the 159 passengers, excluding the case, 92 or 58% had already been contacted, and 52 or 64% of these 92 have already responded. 23 were seated in the front rows, also behind or at the side of the case and his girlfriend. 15 or 65% were already contacted, and 12 or 80% have already responded. Those who did not respond had unattended phones, numbers cannot be reached, wrong numbers, or they have rejected the calls of our contact tracers. So our RESU and CESU are already engaged to physically locate the cases and determine their health, laboratory, and quarantine status of these contacts. We now are encouraging passengers to actively reach out to public health authorities for contact tracing so that we can provide appropriate management. Next slide, please. Aside from the case investigation and contact tracing of Quezon City close contacts, passengers in flight, and those who attended to the case upon arrival in the Philippines by the Department of Health, Metro Manila RESU, and CESU of Quezon City, the Department of Health has already counseled and clarified queries and concerns of cases and interviewed close contacts. All identified close contacts were already quarantined in the facilities and their specimens collected. All contacts that will be identified shall undergo facility-based quarantine and testing as well. In coordination with the Quezon City government, active case finding in the barangay where the case resides have started, and they have heightened their surveillance to monitor sudden or continuous increase in the number of cases in their areas. Next slide, please. Now, the updates on the close contacts of the Filipina case in Hong Kong. We would like to provide these updates on the contact tracing done in the Filipina case detected in Hong Kong. The contacts were positive on RT-PCR initially, but we noted all except one had a CT value beyond 30, meaning the CT value in the laboratory results showed a lower viral load. So to have a more definitive information, whole genome sequencing was done, and it showed that the UK variant was not detected in all of the contacts of this Hong Kong case. However, given their exposure, we give more precedence to the initial results, which showed all these cases were positive, and they are all under strict facility quarantine and close monitoring. So that is all. Over to you, Laura.
Thank you so much, Yusek Berhere. Now, we would like to get a few words po and updates from the City Epidemiology Surveillance Unit Head, Dr. Rolly Cruz. Dr. Rolly Cruz, the floor is yours po.
Doc, you're on mute.
All right. Okay. Good morning, Ma'am. Good morning, Sir Sec. Magandang umaga po. So, Rolly Cruz po from the Quezon City Epidemiology and Surveillance Unit. As narrated po ni Yusek, ni-review po natin yung timeline ng ating first COVID variant dito sa ating sa Quezon City. No? So, nung nalaman po nung ating case na nag-positive siya sa swab sa airport at naandun na sila sa hotel, nag-request po yung case natin sa kanyang magulang na kung pwede sila ay tulungan ng barangay na mailipat sa malapit na quarantine facility sa Quezon City. No? So tinugunan po to ng ating barangay sa Quezon City at sinundo po sila sa BERT ng barangay na ito papunta dun sa quarantine facility ng barangay natin. So and then after that, nilipat po natin ito sa ating Hope facility, which is a much bigger quarantine facility ng Quezon City. So before ka matanggap dun sa quarantine facility ng Quezon City, kailangan na ine-x-ray natin sila. At yun nga po, sir, na nakita natin na meron siyang pneumonia at undergoing siya ngayon ng treatment for the pneumonia. Ating lahat, kung sino mga naging close contact niya after niya ma-diagnose. So naka-isolate na po ngayon yung mga BERT na sumundo sa kanya, yung nag-asikaso sa kanya dun sa barangay quarantine facility. Yung hindi na po tayo magpapapasok dun sa Hope facility na pinaglagyan siya ngayon. At yung mga umasikaso sa kanya dun sa local hospital during nagpa-x-ray siya. So lahat po yan ay na-identify na natin at dinedetermine na lang natin kung kailan sila tamang matest para maayos natin yung kanilang swabbing. Yung pamilya po nila ay na-quarantine na po at ongoing po ang pagpunta ng ating field team para po sila ay ma-swab. At ma-determine yung kanilang mga close contact pa. Yung live-in partner ng ating case ay nasa Hope facility na rin po at kasalukuyan po rin pinapacilitate ang kanyang testing. So lahat po yan ay matatapos bago magpananghali ngayong araw na ito. At doon po sa 10 taga Quezon City na nakasama niya sa aeroplano o sa flight na yon ay kasalukuyan po nating kino-contact trace at karamihan po sa kanila ay na-contact trace na rin ng ating Epidemiology Bureau at nagkaroon na kami nagpa-follow up contact tracing na lang po kami at malalaman po natin lahat ng resulta niyan bago magpananghali. So, yun lamang po ang ating update sa contact tracing natin na ginagawa sa bagong case natin ng UK variant dito sa Quezon City. Maraming salamat.
Maraming salamat po, Dr. Cruz. Now, we go on to get a few messages po, a few words po from our experts. Can I begin with Dr. Jimmy Montoya? So while we're waiting for Dr. Jimmy Montoya, can I have Dr. Cynthia Saloma instead?
Hello po, good morning po. Nais ko lang po ipabatid sa ating tagapakinig na yung ating mechanism para po sa genomic biosurveillance is in place. Iniutos po ito ng ating presidente noong last week of December. Simula po na i-detect itong ating yung UK variant at since ito po ay masyadong concerning na variant, binuo po itong ating task force at kami po ay tulong-tulong kasama po yung DOH-EB, the Epidemiology Bureau, the DOH-RITM at saka po yung UP-NIH para po mapatibay natin itong ating genomic biosurveillance. At gusto ko pong i-commend itong ating local government at saka yung ating EB at ang DOH kasi simula po ng pinaalam ng Philippine Genome Center na na-detect namin yung isang sample namin, mabilis po ang pakikipag-ugnayan nila sa local government, sa contact tracing at ang mga inireport po sa inyo ni Dr. Yusek Verheri, marami po dyan nangyari within the next 8 hours. So maganda po na mabilis agad na identify yung pasyente at saka na contact trace kasi kailangan po natin yung rapid response kung gusto talaga nating i-control yung mga ganitong variants. At sinabi na rin po ni Secretary Duque na hindi lang po itong variant ang ating pinag-aralan sa ating genomic biosurveillance, kundi kahit ano pa pong mga variants na posibleng of concern. So maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Dr. Saloma. Dr. Jimmy Montoya.
Okay. Narinig niyo ako? Yes. Sorry. I'm in another meeting also. Anyway, yes, I completely support the decision, the recommendations of our expert panel. And I think what we'd like to emphasize, na ito ay normal nang nangyayari, yung mga variants na tinatawag. At handa naman at all systems are in place to be able to monitor these developments at tayo ay makarespond kaagad pag ito ay na-identify. Kaya po ang priority natin ngayon ay makontrol o ma-prevent ang introduction sa ating bansa at ito po ay ginagawa na at kami po ay nagpapasalamat sa ating mga ahensya ng pamahalaan na tumulong para ito po ay ma-identify kaagad sa port of entry. So yun lang po.
Thank you po. Dr. Eva of UPNIH po.
Magandang umaga po, Secretary at sa ating mga tagapakinig. Ang nais ko pong sabihin, naging angkop at sapat ang naging tugon ng Department of Health at mga sangay ng gobyerno sa UK variant at ano pa mang variant ng SARS-CoV-2 na pwede pong matukoy. Una po, gumawa kaagad ng pangkat na nagtatrabaho sa technical na aspeto nito or technical working group sa pamumuno po ng Department of Health at Department of Science and Technology. Pangalawa po, pinatibay ang genomic surveillance efforts ng bansa sa tulong ng UP Philippine Genome Center, RITM, UP Manila National Institutes of Health at Epimetrics at patuloy pa po palalakasin ang genomic surveillance na ito. Pangatlo po, naging mas mahigpit ang border control. Pang-apat po, nagtulong-tulong at nagsumikap ang iba't ibang sangay ng gobyerno upang gumawa ng mga solusyon sa COVID testing at mga quarantine measures po. At panglima po, patuloy at paulit-ulit ang pagpapaalala po ukol sa minimum public health standards para sa pag-iwas sa COVID. Ang kailangan po natin ay ang kooperasyon ng lahat upang tayo ay manatiling ligtas. Yun lang po ang aking mensahe. Salamat po.
Thank you, Dr. Eva. Now let's hear from our tag members po, no? Dr. Ana, Dr. Isa, and then Dr. Edsel. Dr. Ana.
Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. Although nakakabahala ang balita tungkol sa UK variant na ating na-detect ngayon sa isang traveler na bumalik galing sa ibang bansa, I think we should be reassured that this is evidence to show that the system is working. Nakita natin na dahil nasunod yung mga protocols na nailatag noon pa mang nagsimula yung concern about the UK variant, itong traveler na nanggaling sa bansang hindi nga kasama ng travel restrictions ay ating nalaman na meron palang infection and ang karapat-dapat na interventions ay nagawa in a very timely fashion. So having said that, I think for our communities, no, ang pinakamahalaga pa rin ay yung realization na nasa kamay natin ang pag-iwas sa pagkakahawa and ang pag-iwas doon sa ating pagkalat ng sakit. Although paulit-ulit na natin itong sinasabi and maaring nagsasawa na po ang ating mga kababayan, I hope no maintindihan nating lahat na itong napakasimpleng mga measures tulad ng making sure na tayo ay parating naka-mask and shield, tayo ay sumusunod sa physical distancing, lumulugar sa mga venues na maganda ang air circulation, at maingat or conscious about the time element, ay siya pa rin mga susi para makaiwas sa infection. And regardless whether this is the UK variant or other variants or the regular SARS-CoV-2, pare-pareho pa rin ang dapat ating gawin at ating susundin. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ana. Dr. Isa?
Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Nais ko lang paalalahanan ang ating publiko na hindi natin kailangang magpanik o matakot sa balitang ito na nandito na meron tayong na-detect na UK variant sa ating bansa. Pagkos pinapakita nito na maganda ang ating surveillance system, na pick up natin agad ang bagong variant. So patuloy tayong dapat magtulungan sa pagkontrol ng paglaganap nitong virus at nitong bagong variant. So nakita natin na isagawa ang mga tamang measures para ma-prevent ang pagkalat nitong bagong variant na to. Sa ganon pa rin ay patuloy tayong mag-ingat. So we have our public health responsibility na protektahan ang ating sarili at so patuloy pa rin tayong gumamit ng face mask at face shield pag lumalabas ng bahay at iwasan ang mga mataong lugar at ang mga crowded na lugar. So siguraduhin natin na maganda ang ventilasyon sa ating mga pupuntahan at kung hindi natin masiguro yan, ay inuulit ko, gumamit ng tamang face mask at face shield. Yan lang po. Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Ana. Dr. Edsel?
Yeah, I think important nga po talaga yung understanding unang-una, hindi po nga ito yung first time na nagkaroon tayo ng mas infectious variant. Balik po tayo sa June, July na meron yung D614G na nakapasok at nagkaroon po talaga tayo ng surge. Kaya kung ngayon medyo proactive po tayo kasi alam natin nung June, July, nagsabay po yung D614G na pasok kasabay nung lower po natin nung quarantine levels natin. So nagsabay po yun kaya kita po natin umabot tayo halos 6,000 kaso. Ngayon, we are preempting that kasi alam naman po natin na merong expected na post-holiday surge at we are slowing down the entry of these variants. So nandyan po yung gumagana po yung ating surveillance system dahil we were able to detect it early. In contrast, yung sa June po na D614G, na-detect na lang po natin yan a few months later. Ngayon, in less than a week, na-detect na yung pagpasok and na-control po natin because of our protocols yung spread nung D614G. So I think that we are in a better position than we were in June in terms of addressing this new variant. Of course, kinakailangan pa rin po mag-ingat, pero I think we have the tools and if everybody cooperates, we can prevent a big surge this time po. Yun na po.
Thank you, Dr. Edsel. So the messages of our experts are very clear po, that our biosurveillance is really in place and we will continue to expand our capacities. And because of our strengthened biosurveillance and stricter border control, the case was immediately detected, isolated, of course, in coordination with the LGU of Quezon City po. And while it is a more transmissible variant, we're saying MPHS remains to be our solution against po dito sa variant na to. And so we now begin with the question and answer portion po. May I call on Ms. Nikki Larin to facilitate the Q&A po. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. We'll be going through the questions that were submitted by our media partners po. We'll start po with the first question. From Christine Sabilo of ABS-CBN News as well as from Raul Dancel. They're asking po, yung na-contact trace po are contacts ng couple sa Quezon City, sa families nila, plus the passengers on the flight. Paano po yung flight going to Dubai? And they're also clarifying some details po regarding what Secretary Duque announced last night. He said the man's parents were asymptomatic. Did they test positive? If so, was it the UK variant?
Yes, Nick. Wala si Sec. Okay, yun pong mga magulang nung kaso natin, wala po sila, hindi po sila nag-test positive pa, no? Sila po ay ite-test pa lang. Sinasabi lang na wala silang simptomas sa ngayon. Ang na-test pa lang kasi, pagkadating, kasama niya kasi yung girlfriend kasamang na-test and tested negative. Pero ngayon, according to our CESU from Quezon City, si Dr. Rolly, i-re-swab nila, no, itong girlfriend, just for us to be sure. And the first question, Nick, again, please.
Ma'am, from Raul Dancel, or Christine Sevilla rather, the families daw po, kung paano po yung flight going to Dubai?
Yes, can we call on Dr. Thea de Guzman to explain the contact tracing that we are doing and what would be the extent of this contact tracing?
Seth, Yusef, and all our participants, good morning po. So kagabi po, sinimulan na po namin agad no, ang ating pagko-contact trace. Lahat po yan ng mga nakasalamuhan ng ating kaso bago po siya umalis sa puntang Dubai, habang siya ay nasa Dubai at itong pagdating po niya sa Maynila. At kasama po doon yung flight papunta rin pong Dubai. Nakuha na po namin ng manifesto mula sa Bureau of Quarantine. At yan din po ay isasabay natin sa tuloy-tuloy na contact tracing, hindi lamang po sa ating communities, pati din po sa mga pasahero ng flight na sinakyan niya pabalik po ng Pilipinas. Thank you po, Yusef.
Maraming salamat po, Dr. Thea. We'll be moving on to the next question po from Bons Magsambola Rappler. Ito na po ba yung results ng genome sequencing for the second batch, which supposedly kasama ang close contacts ng OFW in Hong Kong?
Yes, the answer to that is yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Next question po from Red Mendoza. Ilan po ang nasa flight manifest and do they have contact details that DOH can reach? How cooperative is Emirates regarding tracing? And if the said person did not have any exposure to a confirmed case prior to departure from Dubai, ibig sabihin po ba nito ay na-infect po siya possibly sa airport?
Yung tungkol dun sa infection, no, kung ano yung source of infection, pinag-aaralan pa po natin yan sa ngayon. Marami pong factors that we need to consider, like the number of days from the time that they left the Philippines until they reached Dubai. Ano ba yung mga naging activities in Dubai where we were provided with this information by the individual himself who tested positive for this variant. So pinag-aaralan pa yan. For the other questions, Thea, can we again call Dr. Thea de Guzman to provide the details on this said contact tracing?
Yes, Yusef,